All right, welcome to my webinar, my lunch and learn, if you will, on burnout, blahs. How can we take burnout, first, see it as a gift? Secondly, turn it into breakthrough. How many of you have ever had a car? This is a true story. I'm going to call myself out. I had this car that had a belt that would squeal. It was like a squealing belt. It would, it'd screech. So I'd park far in parking lots because I knew once it was the car was cold, when I turned it on, it would start to screech. And I just didn't feel like dealing with it. And so I drove this car for about a year with that squeechy belt. And I would just turn my radio up loud, And I'm telling you this story because ultimately, how do you think this story ends? My car broke down. It was not at an opportune moment, right? As it never is. Had I listened to the car for that 6 months to a year and just proactively taken care of it, I wouldn't have found myself on the side of the road, but instead I turned my radio up. We all do this with burnout. Your body has gauges and belts and it's squealing to you right now. And you're like, I'm going to turn the radio up, right? So if something doesn't feel right, it's trying to get your attention. For me, when I get burned out, I stop and I get quiet and I listen. Because that right there, if any of you are like, oh, okay, I got my aha moment, I'm out of here. I really think that's what it is. How many of you actually take the time to be quiet and then just listen? We're too busy going, even when we're burned out, right? So that is just a nice little opening to this. I have more. I want to hear a little bit from you in the chat, if that's possible. Can you just type into the chat what attracted you to this webinar? I had 168 people sign up for the webinar. So you're not alone, you're in great company. Whenever I lecture on this or talk about it, it's not even a lecture because I have to show up for this too, right? This is a human condition of just getting ourselves burned out. So can you share in the chat, please, with me, why were you attracted to this? Are you feeling burned out? You have been burned out for a while. You don't want to get burned out. You just wanted to see how I do a live. I don't know. But I would love to hear from you so that I can serve you and give you what you might be needing right now. So far, and this also lets me know that you're still there and I'm not here by myself. Okay, perfect. Also remember when you share, and the nice thing is it's anonymous, right? I don't think anybody, I can make it more anonymous, but when you share, you give other people permission to share as well. Like, oh, I'm so glad she said that or he said that because I feel the same way. They break the ice. So be that leader and have that courage. I always find your webinars very informative and helpful. Your information is always useful. Okay. Love learning health for myself and to pass on to others, even as practitioners. I love that. How many of you have patients that are burned out coming to you because they're stressed out and burned out, and then you're loving on them and you're giving them advice, right? Guess what I was doing this morning before I logged on? Two things. First thing, I was listening to one of the thought leaders I follow, Ed Milet, and he was talking about similar topic of burnout and what you do. And then right before that, I did something that I recommend when you're burned out. Do something totally new that scares you. What? That doesn't say yes. Do something, make yourself do something you've been wanting to do, but not doing it because maybe you're nervous or scared or whatever. So just before I logged on, I did my very first Facebook Live, very first one. And I thought, oh, I'm online all the time. This would be a no-brainer. And then I go to do it and I'm like, first one was a fail, didn't even record it. It was good. Then I went back and did it again and I watched it. It's all horrible. But be okay sucking at something or being bad at something until you get better at it, right? So I love my first Facebook Live because it is horrible, because I can only get better. And then one day I'm going to show somebody, look at my very first Facebook Live, and they're going to go, oh, you were horrible. See, right? So I'm already giving you the first strategy for breaking through burnout, right? One, see it as a gift. Two, slow down. Just stop, slow down, or else your car's going to break down. Slow down, get quiet, empty your calendar, force yourself to sit and listen. Start going to reading or absorbing content that motivates you, inspires you, and brings you back to yourself. I don't recommend looking on social media and comparing yourself to everybody else, because that will lead to all kinds of havoc, all kinds of depression. Because think about this. Let's say you follow somebody who's really great at fashion, and you're looking at them on social media and you're, God, they're so good at fashion. I want to be good like that. You're also looking at other acupuncturists or other physicians, and you're looking at them and you're like, God, they're so good. Then you're looking at moms, wives, husbands, and you're looking at all these people that are really good in their lane. And now you're looking at 4 or 5 of them, and you're trying to be really good in 4 or 5 things. And these people that you are putting on a pedestal and admiring are focusing on one thing, and they're being really good at it. But you're trying to be really good at all the things. So one of the things I think help with burnout is identifying your lane. What do you really love? What do you really enjoy? What are you good at? What can you get even better at? And then going all in on that. Just going all in on that, right? I have this on my board now. God gave you gifts, and your mission is to share them with the world. And I think really the mission before that is to find out what those gifts are, because we don't uncover them all the time. They might even be really obvious to other people, but maybe not obvious to you. So it's find what your gifts are. What do you really love? And then going all in on it. Other people are here to learn strategies. You're always a wealth of info. Thank you for that. Okay, so here's the next thing. We're just gonna dive into this. I'm doing something else totally new. Okay, one of the things, if you've come to my workshops, you know I love a good PowerPoint. I love good town look. Today I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do my first Facebook Live. That's gonna stretch me. So when you're burned out, feeling blah, do something new, especially if it scares you, because now I've got this kind of excited energy, like, whoa, I did it. I did it. Maybe some of you that do a lot of Facebook Lives are like, oh my God, that's so silly, East. Facebook Lives are nothing. It's like, well, you know, I haven't done one. Okay, number 2, so you do something totally new. The very first thing is burnout, blah, that kind of like unmotivated feeling has 2 causes. The first cause is you're doing too much of a good thing. Now that's my case. I absolutely love everything I'm doing. I mean that wholeheartedly. I love everything I'm doing, and I burn out from doing too much of it and not being sacredly selfish with my self-care and my alone time. My coach tells me and everybody in her group that she recommends that you take the last week of the month off completely. You call it flex time. You don't work at all. So that's her strategy, and that's a successful strategy for a lot of people to balance the work life. This is a great strategy for you if you love everything you're doing, but you're feeling burned out. Then you need to put more self-care in there, and you need to take a step back a little bit and maybe even keep injecting new things that way. And so for me, my strategy is Fridays are like my fun Fridays. So I don't take a whole week off, but I do Fridays are mostly me. I block them. I do yoga. I meet up with friends for lunch. Like Fridays are my day. And then I reflect back on my week. What worked, what didn't work, what do I want to do better next week? So that's my strategy. But for you, make sure you got that self-care. So the cause of burnout is either too much of a good thing or too much of something you don't enjoy. Is anybody out there still doing something in their practice that they don't really enjoy, but they're telling themselves, I have to, right? I work with a lot of practitioners, and the first thing I do is Marie Kondo their practice. I look at all their services, everything they offer, cupping, moxibustion, e-stim, acupuncture, massage, whatever it is. I look at all the services and I say, okay, let's put our finger on the first one, acupuncture. How does that feel? Oh, I love giving acupuncture to people. Great, let's go down. Massage, oh, not so much. Then why is it on your menu? Take it off. Oh, I can't. Why not? Why can't you? If you don't enjoy doing it, that energy transfers to the patient. It's not fair, and you're being greedy. Let that patient go to somebody who absolutely loves giving massage, right? So first thing, the cause is either too much of a good thing and you're not giving yourself self-care, and I have some ideas for that, or you're still doing things that you don't enjoy. You're still forcing yourself to do things that aren't aligned with your long-term vision, your joy, your passion, or your calling, right? So first thing is like, you are maybe waiting for permission. Maybe, oh, maybe my patients will give me permission to stop doing massage. Oh, hell no. No way. Even if you're giving crappy massage, right? Nobody's going to give you permission. Your significant other's not going to give you permission to wake up early and work out. You're going to have to lead that and stand and say, hey, listen, this is non-negotiable for me to be the best version of myself and not burn out. I have to exercise every day. And that's the case for me. If I don't exercise almost consistently every day, then I'm not the best version of myself, and burnout is definitely possible, right? So you know what feeds your soul and is a non-negotiable, and your job is to make sure that's there. This makes me think of a client I worked with a couple of years ago, sweet practitioner, and she had been in practice for about 18 years. And she was very busy, and she called me saying she wanted more money. I said, okay, great, let's take a look at this. So I said, how many patients are you seeing in a week? She goes, oh, I'm seeing about 40 patients in a week. I go, God, that's a lot of patients. And I said, so do you want more money? Do you really want, oh, she said she wanted more patients. That's right, she wanted more patients. You want more patients? You see 40 people in a week. She goes, well, maybe I really would just want more money. Okay, that's easy. You can raise your prices and you'll make more money seeing the same or less patients, okay? But then the more we explored and the more I had her kind of, and I often will do this, I'm very touchy-feely. I'll have somebody write down their services like acupuncture, functional medicine, and put your finger on it and see what your body tells you. There's a great book called The Body Keeps Score. So that's another way of almost like muscle testing, but you can do this yourself. You can write down all the things you're doing and put your finger on all the things you're doing and tune into your body and see, do you get a sick gut feeling from one of the things and the next one gets you excited? You will know, okay? Only you. And I like that method over muscle testing, because when somebody else muscle tests me, I always wonder if they're projecting onto me. But I can't project onto myself. If I touch something and it's like, oh, and I touch something, you can even touch it with your eyes. The idea is look at all the things you're doing and see what's not working for you. And that could be the second cause, which is you're doing too much of something that just doesn't light you up. And it's got to be your decision to stop doing it. Okay, so back to the girl. So she says to me, I've been in practice, I want more patients. No, actually, I want more money. Okay, great. So we came up with strategies. About half an hour into the call, the more she talked, the more I witnessed that she just was burned out. She was blah. She said, I've been doing this for a long time. So then I switched gears on her and I said, tell me something you do that you really enjoy, that's been really fun for you recently. She goes, oh, well, I'm glad you asked. My friend has an Airbnb. She has a business. She buys houses, fixes them up, and turns them into Airbnbs. And she has me come in and decorate them, and I make them like these little Zen den retreats. And I just love doing that. And then she starts talking. And then I've always thought that'd be really cool to go do that myself. My husband and I have some money, but it's like, I could never go do that. And I said, well, wait, why can't you go do that? She goes, well, what about my patients? Where are they going to go? They'll go to another acupuncturist that wants to be there. She goes, oh, I couldn't do that. Why couldn't you do that? So I just kept asking her the why, the kind of Byron Tracy of like, is that true? Is it true that your patients won't let you leave your practice? Is it true that you haven't given enough to your patients or your community through direct patient care? Is that true? Is it true that you can't just leave practice and go do something entirely different? And she said, it's not true. I can. So how do I do this? So we came up with a strategy. We came up with a plan for her to slowly, over the course of 6 months, transfer her patients out, sell portions of her practice that were sellable. And she literally closed her practice, bought her first Airbnb, created a Zen Den, advertised it as such. I called her a year later just to check on her. How's it going? I was just curious. Did you ever get an Airbnb? She goes, did I? I have 3 Airbnbs and I'm loving it. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy we had that call. So that's an example of giving yourself the permission slips and asking yourself, is this really true? Is it really true that I can't stop giving massage to my patients? Is it really true that I can't raise my prices? No. A lot of times you're just making all that stuff up. So you got to stop. So you're either doing too much of the good thing and not giving yourself self-care. I got some ideas for that. Or you just have gone to a plateau. If you're not growing, you are not growing. You're dying, right? So growth, we're all kind of wired to grow and expand. We're very much a part of nature, and that's how nature works. So if you're not growing, you're not expanding yourself, you're not trying new things or expanding your capabilities and growing yourself that way, then you're going to reach burnout. Maybe it's time to take a workshop in something. Maybe it's time to just take time off. But you have to be diligent about that. So you're kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, these are kind of like no-brainers. I know that. Follow me here, okay? I have a 4-step process for burnout, all right? So just with a type, you know what I'll do? I'll keep it open to everybody, but if you are burned out, somebody shared right now, I'm feeling burned out. I'm rebooting my practice in a new town and I'm already feeling pressure to be a superwoman. Oh my gosh, I got that. I totally get that. I have restarted my practice so many times. So what if you could say to yourself, how could this be easy? What would this look like if it was easy? Let's make this easy. Let's make this fun. It's fun to be in a new town. I get to restart myself. I get to set new prices. One of the things that people come to me with, they say, I want to raise my prices, but I'm so afraid because I've had the same patients for like 10 years and I'm afraid of raising my prices on them. And when you move to a new town, you're a fresh white canvas. You can come out with any price and it's a great time to adjust your prices. A lot of times, burnout, the second cause of burnout, doing too much of what you don't enjoy, comes from, it's not that you don't enjoy it, you don't enjoy it at the price point you have on it. Meaning you love giving sessions to people, you just don't love giving sessions to people for $40 a session. That makes sense? So when you look at the cause of your burnout, and I have a 4-step process, I'm going to email everybody that attended my article on burnout. It's called COPE, C-O-P-E. So C is the cause. First thing is like, you know, your car's making noise, you stop and you say, what's causing my burnout? What do I think is causing my burnout? Is it I'm doing too much of a good thing and I just need to back off a little bit and have a little bit more of a balance, even though you love everything you're doing? Too much of a good thing isn't a good thing. We know this in Chinese medicine, right? Too much joy is actually harmful for the heart. So too much of your good thing, you need to balance that. And you're not a good leader or model for your patients if you're just work, right? You got to balance and find areas to grow. The second cause is maybe you are doing things you love, but you're just not charging enough for them. And I know I've been there. I know I've been there where I love what I do, but at the end of the week, I didn't feel so good about it. When I was in the moment serving and helping people, whether it was in private practice or coaching, I felt great. But at the end of the week, when I was looking at my bank account, I didn't feel so great. That is a huge source of burnout. That is a huge source of I'm getting out of this business and I'm going to go do commercial real estate where I can make tons of money. And then you go down that path and realize that was a bad decision because you're going to hate that even worse and then somehow find your way back. Right? I can't tell you how many people come to me ready to give up. Like, I'm just done. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of patients. I'm sick of their whining. I'm sick of them not paying. I'm sick of insurance. It's like, instead of leaving, what if you sat and got quiet and said, okay, am I burned out because I really don't love doing acupuncture or treating people? Is that it? Or is I'm just like frustrated that people aren't paying what I want to be paid, or I'm not being compensated? In that case, hire a coach to walk you through the process of raising your prices. Do it. Once your prices are up, then you don't have to see the million people or feel stressed out. Like maybe that's what Pamela's feeling. Like, oh gosh, you know, my whole past is filled with me hustling, hustle, right? You hustle yourself to hell. You're like, oh my God, I hustled and I got all these patients, but I'm so exhausted from the hustle. It doesn't have to be that way. So it's a matter of determining, okay, my perfect sweet spot is about 25, 30 patients. And I want to make this much money every year or month. You can break it. I like months because it's easier than the year. And so you basically have to look at, what does your average per patient income need to be for you to feel good at the end of the week with your interactions and your serving others. Okay, that's another webinar of mine on raising your prices. And in fact, I'll be talking about that on Mondays. I'm going to be doing Facebook Live, so it's free like this, where I'll be talking about motivation, money on Mondays. Those two things, right? I'll get you motivated. I'll share ways to make more money in your practice, like raising your prices, structuring the prices, how to say no, how to read, all the things that I talk about in my coaching programs. That's Mondays. Motivation and money Mondays, starting next week, 8:30 a.m. Facebook Live. But for you guys, let's finish COPE. And I have it right here because I just have to have something, right? Okay, so COPE is the cause. What is the cause of your burnout? Too much of a good thing or too much of things you don't want to do? How do you know if you're doing things you don't want to do, you don't want to do them? You have a case of the Mondays. You have the blahs. Right now, if you're in this because you're feeling burned out at all, you're probably doing something you just still don't want to do. And you need to give yourself permission to pivot. So years ago, and you're probably trying to do too much at once. That's probably it. You want to burn out fast, do too much at once. Pick a lane, pick 2 lanes and just go all in on those, get really great at those, and put the other things that you really want to do and you're passionate about, what I like to say is like a golden shelf. So true story. I have 2 children. At the time, my daughter was about 8 months old and I went back to private practice. I was teaching at Pacific College. Many of you might know me from teaching. I was teaching in the doctoral program. I love being a mom. I love private practice. I love teaching. I was coaching. I was running a product business and I was writing a book. Now, writing a book was a goal of mine for a long time. But what I was finding is I was so spread out, I was stressed out all the time that I just wasn't really making a big impact in any one of those lanes. I was a pretty good practitioner, but not really, because while I was in practice, I kept thinking about the book I wanted to finish, right? Or as a mom, I was like stressing out because I wasn't emailing my coaching clients and getting them to engage with me. I mean, like I just wasn't in any one lane. So this is when the wake-up call happened. And please tell me if this has ever happened to you. I was driving to work at my private practice. And in my mind, I heard this sentence: I really hope my patients cancel today so I could go work on my book. Have you ever wished your patients would cancel on a certain day so you could go do something else? Literally, I stopped the car. I pulled over on the side of the road. This was in Del Mar, California. This is a true story. I was driving down, stopped the car on Highway 101 in Del Mar, California. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, that's it. You need to stop that insanity. Those patients don't deserve half-ass you. They deserve all in you. If you cannot be all in with those patients, you go in there and you go all in and finish that book. And I never want to hear you say those things again. Would you want to be my patient if I was wishing you would cancel that day? Or would you rather me be the person that's like, I can't wait to see Pamela, I can't wait to see Sonia, I can't wait to see, right? We need to align ourselves that way. So I did. I went, I finished out my day of patients and I emailed all the patients that night saying, I'm going to finish out all patient time that has been scheduled. But as of a month from now, I'm taking a sabbatical so I can focus and finish my book. And I did. And I was feeling burnt out. Another way I feel burnt out is just hearing yourself complain about something, right? I absolutely love teaching at the school. I love teaching at Pacific College. I do. I love it. I've loved it forever. My husband and I have an agreement. If I start complaining and I don't see myself complaining, he looks at me and he goes, you're kind of complaining. It's like, oh crap, I didn't even know. I'm burned out. So I have taught so much at the school, thousands of students, tons of teaching hours. Whenever I catch myself complaining or even just like, oh, I have to read another paper using I have to language, that right there is my gauge. And I stop and I sit quietly, which is what I opened this webinar with. If there's one aha moment, today, at some point, just sit and be quiet and listen to yourself and get honest with yourself. So this just happened about a year and a half ago. I was kind of like not looking forward to teaching. I was like complaining because a student lost their homework or the dog ate the homework or something like that, right? And so I said, I need to take a sabbatical because I'm either 100% myself or I'm not, right? Best thing I did, because once I let go of that commitment and opened up capacity for myself to do more of the things I love, that feeling of burnout, that feeling of like, I have to do something, lifted as well. What are you still doing that you inside your brain are saying, I have to do this? My to-do list says I get to do these things. I get to pick my kids up at 4 p.m. every day. I get to. I love it. My husband and I actually fight for the pickup and drop off because it's like alone time with our kids, right? So he gets the morning, I get the evening. I get to have weekends with my family. Having a family was a dream of mine for so long, and I finally have it, right? And so part of that is like really determining what's important for you. And if you're burned out, you might have untethered yourself from what is important to you. So cope. What is the cause of your burnout? Anybody have any ideas of what your burnout might be caused from? Somebody says, I'm feeling burned out, always worried about my practice. I'm not sure what parts of your practice, Donna, you're worrying about. You may be doing things that you could hire out, and you're telling yourself the story of like, I can't. For a long time, I cleaned my own house, right? Because nobody can clean it as good as us, right? And I can clean my house well. I can clean toilets really well. But do I love it? No. Do I enjoy it? No. And so now I made the commitment to myself that I have somebody else come and they do my house, they clean the house. And that 2, 3, 4 hours, I now can shift and serve other people. I can do things that I love and enjoy, like coach or live webinars or take a class or go do yoga. I can make more money in the 4 hours like this coaching than I would make paying myself to clean my own house. So many of you are still trying to do your billing and would love to find another biller. Well, then find somebody to do your billing. It's just a matter of like hiring some of these things out. That could be causing your burnout. Again, that is part of the second major cause of burnout, which is doing something that you don't really like and telling yourself, shoulding all over yourself, but I should do this. I should do acupuncture. Why? If you don't like acupuncture, don't do it. Now, does that mean you have to leave Chinese medicine or alternative medicine? No, there's so many opportunities. You know, maybe you were brought into alternative medicine to, like the girl that does my website. She went to Chinese medical school. She got licensed as an acupuncturist. She quickly learned, oh, not my jam. And so now she does website design for alternative healthcare practitioners because she gets them. She knows what they need and she's all in on it and she's really good at it. And she takes a past life and marries it with her new life of Chinese medicine. Another dear friend of mine, you can look this up. Go to the website Paw Healer, Paw, like paw, like dogs and cats, Healer, HEALER.com. Dr. Holly Mead, she was one of my students and then one of my colleagues in the doctoral program. She went to school for Chinese medicine and realized I don't like people and I don't like treating them, but I love animals. So she continued her training in Chinese medicine. She learned everything she could about herbs, and she created a company that sells herbs for animals, specifically dogs and cats. And she makes over $1 million a year doing that. Did she give up on Chinese medicine? No. She recognized what parts of Chinese medicine or this medicine she loved, and she followed the breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs for her, she loved animals. She didn't have children, loved animals, wanted to serve animals, loved herbs, loved the whole philosophy of herbs, and she had a background in tech. So when she started her company, she did it all herself. She did all the tech, the website, and she married out. So you have breadcrumbs like that as well. If you're feeling a little lost, your past shows clue, success leaves clues. Clues are in your past of the things that you've done, you've trained, things that you were interested in. Not burned out, love what I do, just wanted to hear your other webinars that I missed. Okay, good. You're always okay, me too, mine. Yes, okay, just seeing. What's your Facebook page name? It's under East Phillips, I believe. East Phillips. And I'll send out a link. Most of you guys were on my email list. So I'll be sending out an email to everybody announcing the Motivation and Money Mondays. And so that'll go out. But okay, cope, cause. What's the cause of your burnout? So just remember cope. Okay, the O is for options. What are your options? What are your options? So for me, when I got that burnout, I started to realize I'm not finishing this book and it's driving me nuts, and I'm not present with these patients, and that's not fair. What are my options? I had to make the hard decisions. To soften a hard decision and make it not so hard, let's make it soft. It's a soft decision. You can use the language, not at this time, or I love the visual of a golden shelf. So if you're having a hard time, a difficult time, letting go of something, but you know that you're burned out because you're just doing too much, you're over passionating, then what I recommend is you look at all the things that you're engaged in. Write them all down on a piece of paper, on a blank piece of paper. Write down all the things that you are doing and you love doing, and then circle the ones that you love the most, the ones that give you the most juice at this time, right now, not last year, not what you think is going to give you juice in 10 years or 10 months or 10 weeks. Right now, today, what are the things you're super excited about? You circle them, and you prioritize that list. So if there's 15 things, you put them in a list from number one, be the number one thing. For me, my number one is my kids, my family, my husband and my kids. That's number one, because I can get so swept up in my passion for my business, growing the business, serving you, coaching other people, that I forget that my kids are more important, or my husband. Like, that will be shown. I'll be on my phone emailing clients at night, and my husband will look at me and go, "Really? I thought we don't work at night." It's like, oh God, you're right, right? But that's how passionate I am. Can't let it go. So you get your list of everything that you're doing, what's really important to you. You put it in a list of priorities, and you honestly can only pick about 3 to 5, period. Everything else goes on a golden shelf. And at this time, you are going to focus on those 5 things that really bring you joy, and you're just going to go all in on them. You could do the same thing with everything in your practice. I can't tell you how many practices that I've Marie Kondoed. If you don't know who Marie Kondo is, check her out as well. The art of tidying up. You basically look at things in your house. If it doesn't bring you joy, you get rid of it, and then you organize everything into these nice little organized bundles so you can find them easily. Same thing for your practice and the things you're doing. So what are your options? So for me, when I sat there and I was like, my options are I can keep doing this and still be frustrated and eventually come up with a health condition because I'm overdoing it. And this has happened to me. I am a recovered over-passionator. I used to over-passionate to tears, frustration, feeling stuck because there were so many things I wanted to do. It wasn't until I learned the art of picking a lane or two and going all in on those, and it lifted all of that pressure. And by doing that, the things that I couldn't work on at this time go on the golden shelf. So what are your options right now? Look at your options, list them out. For me, it's like it is not an option for me to continue treating patients this way. So I need to put my private practice on sabbatical. So I made a plan. That's P, plan. What's your plan? Find out what the cause is. What are your options based on that cause? Come up with a plan, and then you have to execute the plan. Nobody's going to execute the plan for you. You have to do it for you, right? I thought about this the other day. How many of you are from the 80s or just even the 90s and played a lot of video games? I know for me, I played a lot of video games. One in particular was Miss Pac-Man, and I was good. I'm still good at Miss Pac-Man. I can still get a high score from time to time, but I got good by playing it. I got good by doing the work myself. I got good by focusing, and I didn't play all the arcade games. When I'd go to the arcade, it was like always Miss Pac-Man, and I got better and better and better and better at it, right? You're not going to level up. And I leveled up. Like I got to like the insane levels where people would come in and say, I've never even seen that level on Miss Pac-Man, right? The same thing applies to life. You cannot level up in life by having somebody else play the game for you. You have to play the game yourself. You have to put in the hard work. And I promise you, you want to level up, You narrow your lanes. You don't try to do the many things that will lead to burnout. You pick one or two things, you go all in on it. And maybe in 6 months, you can always shift out and go into a different lane. But when you try to swim in too many lanes, it's burnout. So what's the cause of your burnout? What are your options? Make a plan, and you have to execute on it. You have to put a hard line in the sand and just say, I am not this. I'm not going, like, whether it's stop seeing certain patients that burn you out, right? Anybody have patients that you cringe when you see them on your schedule? What are you doing? Refer them out. There's a graceful way of doing that. They come in, you say to this person, Mrs. Jones, I've just been thinking about you so much, and my experience says we should be farther along in your treatment, and we're not getting the results I'd like to see, or I would expect to see. If you were my cousin, my aunt, my mom, whatever's appropriate, I would send you to a colleague of mine who specializes in your condition. You can certainly continue to see me. I just want the best for you, and I don't feel like our time together is giving you that. So would you like that referral? They always say yes. And they always think, wow, you're so altruistic. You're so sweet. That is a nice way to refer somebody out that you just can't work with. And that's okay. We're all different personalities. But I have found that burnout can come from forcing yourself to work with certain populations, certain people, right? For me, burnout used to come from cheap patients. The one that would drive up in a brand new Mercedes and nickel and dime me. And I would just feel so burned out from my inability to hold up my boundaries, right? Does this resonate with anybody? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm sick to my stomach. I can't believe I'm still giving treatments for $60. Oh, this makes me so mad, especially since I had lunch with my friend who's not that good of an acupuncturist, and she charges $150 a session. And I've like got so much more. All those things go through her head. Nobody's making you do any of this stuff, but it's all leading to you burning out. It's all leading to you saying, I give up. I just saw a post on Facebook, a girl ranting, and I didn't say anything. That's a whole other story about social media. I didn't want to feed myself to the wolves, but she was complaining. She was like, this whole industry really just frustrates me. Insurance companies pay so shitty, this and that. I'm like, you are choosing to take insurance. Nobody is making you take insurance. I know a girl in La Jolla, she charges $400 a session cash. She doesn't have a website. She doesn't even have business cards. She's word of mouth. She's an acupuncturist, and she's book solid all day, every day, because she's good. She's all in. She's really good at trauma. She saves people's lives. And so that's her practice. So when people tell me things, well, I need a website, I need this, I can't charge $200. I'm like, yes, you can. I see it all day, every day. It's what you're telling yourself. So that's one thing. Please stop doing that. So back to cope. What's the cause? What are your options? Make a plan, and then execute that plan. Execute on that plan. You have to get quiet. You have to get quiet. When you're feeling burned out in this, and it's not like you get over burnout and you never burned out again. If you've experienced burnout, it's probably in your nature to pile on a ton of stuff on your plate and then get burned out and then throw everything off your plate, and so that you have a clean plate again, only to build it back up. Is this resonating with anybody? Because this is me, and I recognize this about me, and I love this about me because I'm gung-ho and I'm ambitious. And so I just work with that rhythm, right? I just work with that. It's like, okay, here I go. I'm in that season of building my plate back up. So then I have to recognize that that's just me, my nature is to like start adding too many things until I start to feel burnout. So I listen to my gauges. Okay, I think I've added too many things because I'm starting to feel a little burned out instead of excited at the end of the day. So I sit, I'm quiet. What's the cause? The cause, remember cope? The cause is you put too much stuff on your plate again, East. You did this to yourself again. And I don't beat myself up. I laugh. There you go again. You're so quirky that way. Okay, what can you release? And then I make the phone calls. Then I uncommit myself to certain things. Then I do my priority. I call it passions and priorities list. I list everything out on a piece of paper and I circle. And I do this regularly. It's not like I do it once and then I'm off and running. I have to often, I would say at least every 5 to 8 weeks, create a brand new passions and priorities list because I know that I have that tendency to add a whole bunch of stuff on my plate and then feel burned out and feel stressed out and then start dumping things, right? So I proactively look at everything I'm doing and realize, okay, something's got to give. Okay, what am I going to let go of? I have a saying, my clients laugh about this, but it's true. You cannot bring a new car into your garage if you have your old one still parked there. So if you're holding on to all these things because you don't want to let go of anything, well, you're going to be stuck and the burnout is going to continue. You have to be willing to let go of something to allow something new to come in. You have to have trust in God, trust in your guardian angels, the universe, your higher self, that something better is coming. And if any of you get a little bit frozen with the fear of change or doing something new, I want to offer you an idea, a concept of mine. My concept is that life is like Nordstrom or Costco. If you're like, I don't go to Nordstrom, okay? How so, East? You can take it back. You can take it back. If you start doing something, if you change your prices, if you get rid of certain services, guess what? You can take it back. You can take it back. And just like the Nordstrom will take it back. Costco will take it back. Ultimately, I believe this. There is a ride at Disney World in Florida. It's also in Disneyland. It's called Autopia, Autopia. It's a car. You're driving a car and you're on a track and you have a gas pedal, probably electric, but you have to push your foot on the pedal to move forward. And you can steer to the right and you can steer to the left, but you're on a track. So if any of you have been on this ride, which I rode it a ton, I grew up in Southern California, so I've been on this ride a ton. It's a fun ride because you get to steer a car and you get to hit the gas and move forward. But if you go too far to the right, it auto corrects and brings you back on the track. If you stop putting your foot on the pedal to accelerate, somebody behind you will hit you and bump you forward. Same thing with life. I totally believe that your calling is that track. Your purpose in life, the gift you were given is that track. And you might go too far to the right and you might go too far to the left, but God, your higher self, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, will bring you back on your track. Your job is to keep going forward. Your job is to keep your foot on the pedal to accelerate. Your job is to keep growing, exploring, and looking at anything in your life as a gift, including burnout. Wow, I'm feeling burned out. This is such an awesome gift. It's given me a chance to slow down and really evaluate what's important to me, because clearly my body is giving me the message that I am unaligned, that I've untethered from the things that bring me joy or a high ROI, return on investment, financially, right? Like if I'm going to put all these hours into treating patients and I don't even make $70,000 a year, I'm going to be pretty pissed. I'm going to get burned out pretty quickly, right? Or if it's not money, it could be joy. You're doing something, you make tons of money, but it doesn't bring you joy. That was the case when I did commercial real estate. I did commercial real estate for 6 years to pay off my student loans. And at first I loved it because it was something new. It was something I enjoyed because I was learning something new, a new trade. And I do have a background in business. So it was like tapping into that business side of my soul. I loved it until I didn't. And when I recognized, I literally would get phone calls from people wanting me to be their real estate person, and I wouldn't call them back. That is a sign that I'm burned out and I'm not aligned with what I want to do anymore. So that's when I recognized, okay, did I pay off my student loans? Yep. Did I buy myself a condo in San Diego? Yep. What am I still doing here? Nobody gets off a comfortable couch. So God, your higher self, the universe, the angels, all the things, source, often makes your couch uncomfortable so you get your ass off of it, right? Because complacency. And so if you're uncomfortable, it's a sign, it's a gift that something better is waiting for you around the corner. I believe that wholeheartedly. Every single time that something came up for me, especially around burnout, and I took some time to reflect, things got better afterwards. Things got better afterwards. I remember years ago, I was a supervisor at Pacific College. and a teacher. I was full-time at Pacific College, teacher and supervisor. And I got a phone call that they took away one of my clinic shifts. It was a morning clinic shift. And it was like 2 weeks before the semester. And I was pissed because I was like, okay, it's 2 weeks. I have already blocked my schedule and I was going to rely on that income. And you just like canceled my clinic shift. Okay. Right. And I was bummed. Not even a week after this, I got a phone call from a friend of mine, Greg, who worked for the Tri Club of San Diego. And he said, East, do you still want to do an Ironman? I said, oh yeah, I totally do. He's like, okay, well, I got you a spot on Ironman. I said, great, when's my race? He goes, in 3.5 months. I said, gulp. Okay, because I'd always wanted to do an Ironman. I wasn't training for one. I had 3.5 months to train for Ironman. And guess what? Because that clinic shift got canceled, I used that time to train for Ironman. And I was able to check something off my bucket list. Had I not had that opening, had that old car not been taken out of my garage, I couldn't have brought the new one in. So I'll tell you this as well. If you don't listen to the warning signs, if you don't listen to the belt under your engine, or your body, or the headaches, or the neck pain, or whatever it might be, don't worry. The universe will, make your couch uncomfortable. The universe will help you that way, right? So for me, I believe all of us. I love Gabby Bernstein. She wrote the book, The Universe Has Your Back. It's like, even if you try to get in your own way, eventually the universe will come in and God will come in to help you. So if you're kind of like, I'm still not going to do anything, I'm not going to look at the causes of my burnout, something will happen for you. What I want to prevent is it to be something that's catastrophic, like you break down on the side of the road when you're on your way to work or on your way to a class to teach to 35 people, and now you can't because you broke down, or you get sick, right? Because your body's been trying to tell you. Like, I remember when I was seeing 50 plus patients a week, I had 5 treatment rooms, and I would cry on Fridays going home every Friday. I thought it was normal. I thought I was just expressing all those emotions from all the people, like I was absorbing their emotions. These aren't my emotions. These are everybody else's emotions. So I just a normal thing. I would just cry every Friday going home and then meet up with my boyfriend at the time, now husband. And it was my gauges. And I had to get to a breaking point before I realized, okay, 50 patients for me is not me. That's not me. That doesn't work for me. And I had to make those hard decisions. I had to realize the cause of me crying wasn't the other people, and I wasn't absorbing that. It was me. And what are my options? So I went from 5 treatment rooms to 1 treatment room. I raised my prices. I stopped offering an a la carte, right? I'm not like the Mexican stand. It's not like you get tacos and a side of beans, because I used to do like acupuncture. If you want cupping, you can have cupping by itself. Oh, you just want moxibustion. Oh, you want this. It's like, no, a session with me can include all the many things. And a session with me is this much money. And there's one option to work with me, a session. That's it. It's not like I want acupuncture and e-stim and this is that price. And I want acupuncture with massage and that's this price. No, it's like one session with me. So I simplified things. So you're feeling burned out, you're feeling blah, start by quieting yourself and listening, and start by simplifying. Look at your plate. What can you take off of your plate? What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? It might be time to get rid of it. Is it okay to give a treatment discount when somebody refers a friend? Nope. I mean, it's okay. Do you feel good about it? If you don't, then don't do it. I thought about this the other day. Why do we give our friends such deep discounts? Wouldn't we think that, like, I remember a friend of mine does real estate, or she does something else. It wasn't real estate, it was something. And I said to my friend, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you did that. I'd much rather pay you to do that than this other person. So I paid her the full price because I'd rather my friends get the money than somebody else. So like, if you have a friend and they're coming to you with the friend deal, if you weren't in practice, they would have to go pay somebody else full price. This is a true story. I used to do pre and post IVF, and I charged $350 for it. And that was in the year 2000. 2011, 2010. So it was a long time ago. Right now I would charge $650 for it, $500, $650. Anyway, at the time I was charging $350 and my girlfriend was getting IVF. And she said, hey, East, I know you do pre and post IVF. We really want to get pregnant. Will you do that for me? And I said, sure. But we didn't talk about price or anything like that. And so I did it for her and she gave me a bottle of champagne. And it wasn't even good champagne. I mean, it wasn't like exceptional champagne. It was La Marca or something. It wasn't even great champagne, right? But that's what she gave me for me doing pre and post op. Okay. Fast forward to her second or third IVF. And she said, hey, East, can you come do my IVF? And I said, oh, I'm not doing that right now. I don't have the capacity, but I'll refer you to a colleague of mine. And so she hired my colleague and my colleague charged her $400. And I remember my friend calling me up and going, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that's how much, you guys charge for that. And I only gave you that shitty bottle of champagne. And so she kind of felt bad. And honestly, I felt bad, So the thing about discounts, they're a slippery slope. You only give discounts if you can do so without any genuine bad feeling. What I like to do instead of discounts is just offer more, right? So instead of saying, oh, I'll give you 50% off a treatment, what if you just say, I'll give you 2 treatments for the price of 1? I know it's kind of the same thing. It's just that when we discount things, the perception is it's just not as valuable. Then it's really hard to raise it back up, right? So if I say to you, hey, listen, I don't discount my prices, but you're my friend, I'll give you 2 for 1. Then eventually, it doesn't devalue that single session. That's what I meant. Give my referring friend a discount, but not sure. Anything's legal. It's your practice. You set your prices. So if somebody refers you a bunch of people, you can do something nice for them. You could say, hey, you know what? You've referred me so many patients. I'd love to gift you a treatment, right? Because here's the slippery slope of giving a discount. You have a friend that's referring you a bunch of patients, so you discount them to instead of paying $150, they only pay you $80. But then they stop referring you, but they still want that $80 all the time. How do you have that uncomfortable conversation where you say, well, you're not really referring me a lot of patients, so I'm going to bring you up to my normal price? What I'd rather do is gift something to somebody. Hey, listen, thank you so much for referring all these patients. I'd like to gift you a candle or some gemstones or a free session. Giving too much, being a people pleaser, not holding your boundaries, 100% turns into burnout, resentment. And that's when you need to look at the cause and say, I'm causing this. Nobody's making me give so much in a session and charge so little. Nobody's making me do all these things. I'm telling myself I have to do all these things. You don't have to do anything. A thought just came to me that I want to share with you. I created an online platform years ago for online learning. And every time a provider would join my platform, it cost me $1,300. So a friend of mine wanted to be one of the providers. And I said, great. So I spent the $1,300 and I had her put on the platform. She didn't spend a penny. I met with her and we went over the class she was going to teach. She was super excited about it. It was going to be a live class. We were going to record it and then she was going to sell it evergreen and we were going to split the profits, me 40, her 60. But I did all the risk. I took all the risk. I paid the $1,300 to have her put on. Okay. The morning of her live event, she called me and said, I meditated this morning and I don't want to do this anymore. She never paid me a penny. I was out $1,300 and I had to cancel her class and I had to tell people, sorry, she's not coming. And I had to have people angry at me. Okay. Did I unfriend her? Am I not her friend anymore? Nope. I'm still her friend. I honored that. I said, I honor that in you. I learned a lesson. I said, whoa, that was not a smart way to structure my business, was it? I took full responsibility for that. That could have led me to burnout. That could have led me to giving up on people, humanity, friends, everything, right? Instead, I looked at what is the real cause. My heart was hurt. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like, oh, no, Becky, right? I was pretty upset. But when I sat and got quiet and looked at it, I was like, that was my fault. Next time I do something like this, everybody has to have some skin in the game. That's how I would structure it next time to be better. Do I still stub my toe? All the time. But I look at it like gifts, like, well, there I did it again. Oh, it reminds me a lot of that old story. How can I be better next time? Right? How can I take some things off my plate so I don't still feel so burned out? And that is probably what is happening for the majority of you, the people that are here live, the people that are watching this replay, people that are not even here locally. The burning out is coming from two causes. You're doing too much of something you love. It sounds like a lot of you love what you do, but you're just maybe doing too much of it. You're not being as diligent with your self-care. And this happens to me all the time. So one of the things I do is I get an accountability partner. I get a friend to say, let's meet at yoga every Friday so that because I'll, unfortunately, I will set, I can, like for yoga, especially, if I don't have anybody meeting me at yoga, I'll say, oh, I'll do it later. Right? You know what I'm saying? But if I tell my friend, listen, please meet me at yoga 10:45 on Friday, because otherwise I know I'll talk myself out of it. Right? So I won't want to let her down. But guess what? Every time I leave yoga, I go, gosh, this is so great, right? It's being diligent with your self-care. That's when you're doing too much of a good thing. And even then, look at all the good things you're doing and pick 3 of your top good things and put the others on the golden shelf and say, at this time, I can't really focus on you because it's overwhelming me to do all of these things. Let's say you wanted to be the best baseball player in the world. You also wanted to be the best piano player. How is that possible? Oh, and you also wanted to be the best mom. You also wanted to get pregnant, right? So most of the best baseball players in the world are just playing baseball all day. So while you're doing a little bit of baseball and a little bit of piano and trying to get pregnant and all these things, the other people are in one lane and they're all in on that. So I started early on this webinar with that kind of notion of burnout easily comes from trying to be the best at too many things or trying to do too much at once. And it's that simple of just saying, okay, I have to be honest with myself. I cannot do all these things and have an impact in any one of them. I have to simplify. I have to put certain things on a golden shelf and just say, not at this time. Just not at this time. Burnout's a little different than resentment. Resentment usually comes from not charging enough, right? So if you're feeling resentful and you think it might be burnout, that could just be simply as raising your prices. To that point, on August 4th and 5th, it's mornings of August 4th and 5th. Let me look at my calendar. Yep, August 4th and 5th. I'm doing a webinar. It's a workshop called the Lighthouse Workshop. It's 3.5 hours on Thursday morning, 3.5 hours on Friday morning. And in that time, we will Marie Kondo the heck out of your practice. We will look at what you're offering, what needs to go on a golden shelf and not be worked on, right? We're going to help you prioritize, simplify, really look at your practice, what you're offering, so that you can look at it. Just like when you're working with patients and you have them write down everything they eat, they finally go, oh crap, I do eat a lot of things, right? We're going to put awareness to where your energy is going to see the true cause of your burnout. We're going to look at that together. We're going to restructure your practice in life so that it doesn't feel heavy. And then we're going to set prices. So if you want more money, you want more patients or more of the patients you like to treat, you can all think of, I love treating these patients. I don't really like treating these patients. In this two-day webinar intensive, I will help you get aligned so that you're making more money, seeing the patients that you want to see at prices that feel really good and are profitable. So all of those things, and get real clear on where you're taking your practice in 2 days, and you get CEUs for it. So that's on my website, drreese.com. It's called the Lighthouse Intensive. I still have room. I'm trying to limit it so that I have one-on-one time, enough one-on-one time for people. And so you can sign up for that, and I hope you will. I would love to see you there. If not, other ways we can hang out together would be Recharge is coming up in August. Once a year, I hold an event where it's healing for healers. And this year is incredible. The lineup that we have, that's on my website. We have 3 days of you being loved on and poured into and getting CEUs at the same time so that you are not as burned out. If you're burned out, come to Recharge. If money's an issue, email me. We'll work that out. But Recharge is refuel for you. We have medical intuition. I'm going to teach you how to do that, remote viewing. You're going to have neuroplasticity and breath work. You're going to have a past life regression with the only level 3 QHHT past life regressionist in Southern California. You're going to have a cacao ceremony. You're going to have tuning forks for heart-mind coherence. You're going to learn how to play those crystal healing bowls to heal yourself and be healed. And I have PEMF mats. I have 3 PEMF machines. They're each $40,000 coming to the event, and you get free PEMF sessions. That alone pays for it. All in 3 days, and you get lunch served to you and snacks all day for the 3 days. All right. I hope that was helpful. Not a lot of people showed up out of the 168 that signed up, but that's okay. That's okay. I hope they watch the replay. If you're watching the replay, I'm sending you love genuinely because I've been there. I graduated in 99. I have 25 years plus experience in practice, treating patients, feeling burned out, being resentful, crying on the way home, like all the things. I've been there. So I'm just so grateful that you are out there helping so many people because they need it, don't they? And you cannot serve others if you are depleted. That's why they say put the oxygen mask on yourself before you help your child. Well, if you're burned out, you're not a good version of yourself. So you need to cope. You need to find the cause, outline the options, pick your options, and execute. I'd love to know how this lands for you. Send me an email, whether you watch this live or the recording, and I hope to see you guys soon in person. Because one thing that burns me out is too much Zoom time, right? So I'm going to be doing a lot of live events, in-person, touchy, huggy live events. Stay tuned on my Facebook Lives. I'll announce them. On my website, they're all there. I have a whole year of live events planned, so you can find those there. We can see each other. And if not, I'll see you this way, okay? Bye for now.